Let's make 2024 your best year in business. I am going to show you the framework that I personally use, that I have deployed with my clients at Operations Agency, and that I recommend to anyone and everyone who asks me, Allie, how do you have 2 little boys, 3 and under, and 2 growing companies, and do all the things that you're doing? The answer is that I've built this incredible framework through which I use to actualize my vision and really clearly define what our company goals are and how everything we do feeds into that. Now, I will say a couple of things. First and foremost, in my book, The Sabbatical Method, that released in June of 2024, I really seriously break down 2 of the most fundamental things that you need to be able to do inside of your small business. From an operations perspective, there are some basic needs that your company has, and those 2 at a base level are planning and process creation, right? So how do I do blank and how do I grow, right? So we need to make sure that everything in our business stays intact as we pursue growth initiatives. This is the fundamental flaw that I see. Besides, really, again, taking a huge leap of faith and saying, oh, I'm going to make these lofty goals and then not tie any of my actions to them, which I'm going to explain to you here in a second. But a big thing that people do is they end up going after big goals, and then all the things that they've built end up kind of disintegrating, right? They create these big, massive plans for growth, and then some of their basic needs with their current clients aren't being met. So then they start hemorrhaging clients, and all the funding that they thought they were going to have to, move this big dream forward, all of a sudden it's non-existent. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we operationalize what we currently have going on so that we can go and tackle big dreams, big goals, big vision. I think this is going to be so helpful for you. And if you want my full breakdown, 45 minutes of the annual planning advantage, which I will discuss here at a brief clip in just a couple of seconds, go ahead and DM me on Instagram at Operations Agency, DM me annual planning, and I'm going to send you for free, no opt-in required, my breakdown of how I literally plan all of our goals inside of the business, how I meet with my team, how I talk to them about it, and how I roll it out in the company.
Lots of folks think that their annual plans are going to guide them through the rest of the year, right? They're going to create the most clear plan, and then all of a sudden it's going to help them actualize all of their goals. Well, in reality, that isn't actually true. And when we create our goals for our business, what we want to do is make sure that we create them in a way that's going to guide us toward the actions that we need to take every single day in order to get them done in the business. So the way that we do this at Operations Agency, and when we support our clients in this way, we create what I call the annual planning advantage. And it's very specifically simple so that we make sure that we are rooting our actions every single day in what is going to move us forward. So annual planning advantage is something that we do. And I think it's really, really great to make sure that we have opportunities to identify what actions we need to take. So this is going to be action driven, right? Not big pie in the sky goal, goal hitting, or it's nothing about SMART goals. We all know and have probably had enough of that stuff. It's action driven. It's going to give us an opportunity to calibrate because I want 52 chances to adjust toward my goals versus just 4 when we do our annual planning or our quarterly, compilation of those things. I think so many organizations miss this when they are in a position of planning and really executing on those plans. And it'll also give us an opportunity to meet and contribute or find people who can contribute, right? It'll make it really, really clear to us who is going to need to be in our corner. So let's jump in. The annual planning advantage is comprised of about 5 specific things. So up at the top here, we typically have our vision. And someone to follow on vision specifically, Cameron Herold wrote an amazing book called The Vivid Vision. And it's amazing. It's very, very clear, on creating a 2-year vision and making sure that it is so visceral that we all understand, and we all, meaning like us and all of the individual contributors at our organization, any of our leadership, our management, anybody who is really involved in making this vision come to life. This includes our spouse, our kids, they should all understand exactly what we are going after so that they understand what their piece of the puzzle is, right? What is the contribution that we need from this person? Now, this is incredibly valuable I typically say that this is a 2-year thing, right? It's not possible often to chunk something out. Like we can make meaningful progress in 1 year, right? It's half that duration. But I think oftentimes we end up making our plans out a little bit too far in our business on the action side of things or on the tactic side, which we'll talk about here in a second. But what happens is we also cast too short of a vision, right? 1 year, oftentimes in a small business growth trajectory, is a building year, right? You don't really actualize a ton of, growth and acceleration and any of those things because you are building, right? You're building a business, and everything takes a little bit longer sometimes than you think it's going to take. So actualizing a 2-year vision is really where I'd love to set the goals. Then we create our goals. This should happen at the 1 year and the quarterly cadence. So every single quarter, we're reviewing our goals. What exactly are we going after, and what should be true a year from now if we know that we have hit every single thing. This is, like I said, could bore you with SMART goals. You guys all know how to set goals. They need to be attainable and measurable and all the things. And a really great read on this is Hard Goals. So this is a great book. And then Vivid Vision is a great book here. So set your goals, make sure that you're doing this at an annual cadence and reviewing them and setting specific goals for each quarter. Then we want to get into the strategies, right? So these are going to be on a monthly basis reviewed. The greatest thing about this particularly is that your strategies likely directly support your goals. Your goals directly supports your, 2-year vision of what you want your life and your business to look like. And it's super important that we test different types of strategies, right? There are almost infinite types of strategies that we could do to grow our business, to make things more sustainable, to increase our profit margin, all of these different things. But I think one of the biggest things that we want to make sure are true is that we are testing our strategies, that they feel like they are providing traction and that we're able to contribute to them and test their application every month, right? Is this making us move closer to our goals or farther away, right? Are we spinning our wheels in mud, and do we need to double down on this, or do we need to kind of free up some time? So this will allow you to kind of have a little bit more of a real picture of what is happening in support of your goals. A great goal or an example of this would be, hey, listen, I want to grow my email list by 30,000 subscribers. My strategy is paid Facebook ads. And we need to ask ourselves, well, is this strategy producing toward the goal, right? Are we trending in the right direction? And I find that taking those trends is usually helpful at a monthly level. Now let's take the Facebook ads example and go to the next level, which is tactics. Right? Tactics is a weekly contribution. And I think a lot of us get stuck here in the tactics function because oftentimes what happens is if our goal is to grow our email list by 30,000, our strategy is with paid Facebook advertising, and our tactic is doing a free lead magnet to cold traffic, right? That tactic may or may not be working specifically, but the strategy of growing your list via paid Facebook could actually be pretty great. So we may need to rinse and or repeat within that monthly time frame or test a couple of tactics within that same strategy, right? It might be a freebie download versus a masterclass, a free masterclass, right? Those tactics need to be tested, and they need to help us determine whether or not the strategy is helpful. Oftentimes, I find that testing multiple tactics within one strategy is helpful for a short time until we can determine a clear winner, which is why we need to review these at a 52-week cadence. I can't stress this tactics piece enough. It's going to be so helpful to making sure that you feel like you are educated and absolutely able to make the best decisions to actualize your goals. And then finally here at the base level, which is the most important, is your activities. And activities happen daily, multiple times per day. Right? Activities are the habits that we keep, right? To make sure that we are actualizing this vision. And one of the best resources I can think of and that I try to read every single year is Atomic Habits. by James Clear. Atomic Habits is so good at breaking down the daily cadence of habits and building really strong habits. And I know that if we understand the vision, the goals, the strategies, the tactics, and then we anchor them into, okay, what activities do I need to be doing daily in order to achieve this, right? I think it's so much easier to bite off some of these smaller things. And it's also really easy to determine whether or not this goal is going to overload your life. So I know a lot of us are like, oh, I want 3x growth or 10x growth in my business. And then we start to chart this out in the annual planning advantage. And we're like, oh, okay, this means that I'm not going to actually be able to have dinner with my family for this entire year if I think that we're going to go down this path, right? So you can start to make some decisions proactively about whether or not the thing that you are doing is going to actually grow your business at the, sacrifice of your family, or if you're playing small, you aren't going after big enough things. I think at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we've got this really lined out so that we can, really accurately, honestly, have the best year yet. I mean, it's so incredible to me sometimes that I sit down with clients every single year and they're like, well, we wanted to do this and then we didn't do this. And I think it's challenging to grow a business, don't get me wrong. And there are some things, right, that you will leave unactualized inside of the business. But if we use this framework, we should be so dialed into the things that need to happen in our business that it's easy to determine, which is really, really helpful. What we say yes to and what we say no to. Because a coach of mine says, a no is a yes to your goals and a yes is a no to your future. Because ultimately, when we have clear goals and we know exactly what we're going after inside of our business, that becomes a filter through which all of our best yeses come and all of our nos get declined. We don't want to be in a position where we are saying yes to things that don't serve us, and we want to default to saying no, because this framework in and of itself is a filter, right? It's going to show us exactly what we need to be doing every single day. And if that impedes, it's got to be a no. It's absolutely got to be a no. So a quick hack here that I teach all of my clients is that typically the way this works is we've got one vision, right? There is one thing, one vision. It's very clear. It's centralized. We understand, right? I like to consider that 4 goals is probably really helpful. One big centralized goal per quarter is very, very, very good. Priority is a singular word for a reason. And priorities shouldn't even be a word. It should not even be in the dictionary. Because my opinion is that if we have one focus, one vision, right, and there are 4 opportunities in this year to hit a milestone as it relates to the path to that vision, that is going to provide the most clarity for everybody on the team. Strategies, I would imagine there are only going to be about 2 to 3 per goal, right? So in each of these, every single goal that you want to hit, there's probably only going to be 2 or 3 strategies that are actually going to help you get there. And honestly, if you're starting out in business, it's likely going to be one vision, one goal, one strategy, right? That's it, right? I think a lot of us try to buckshot our dreams and say, oh, well, if we just load this thing up and shoot it from all angles, then we're bound to hit something. And that is going to burn you out faster than you can say Indiana Jones. It's going to be so painful for your business. And ultimately, you're going to have a ton of open loops and a ton of half-built bridges in that strategy. So 1 to 2 tactics within each of your strategies. And then activities is going to be probably 1 to 2 activities in each of these. So for the most part, what you want to determine is vision, what your goals are, your strategies that you're going to use to get there, the tactics within those strategies that are going to help them go farther and faster, and then what activities daily that you're going to need to do. Now, this applies to every single person on your team, which means that you as the founder, of course, have a huge hand in how this goes. And as you are planning your year, you need to be clear on activities that are for you and activities that are for your team. And ultimately, if it's you sitting in the seat of most of the growth activities, then that is fine. But what we need to discuss is how to get you out of some of the more administrative things to kind of leverage a little bit more of that time. And that's when we start to create a flywheel on some of the most successful companies who are able to create big things in a short amount of time. They use this framework, but they have a lot of teammates and a lot of contributors, which basically makes their proverbial plate fuller for more goals, more strategies, more tactics, and they can start to surround things from all sides.
So if you're looking to have the best year in business, this is the most critical framework that you can follow. I've seen it be successful with a multitude of different types of businesses in various different markets. I personally use it to actually guide the way that we implement our annual planning and how I actualize my vision for our companies, for my family. It's super, super straightforward and it's really easy to collaborate with. So share it with your team. Make sure that your team understands exactly what piece they are specifically contributing to and where they fit in the massive, dream that is your vision for your company and for your life. I think this has helped me have fantastic years. 2023 was one for the books, and it's something that I feel like I have massive momentum with in 2024 as we plan our year and we're in a position to actualize a lot of the dreams that we have for the business. If you want the full 45-minute breakdown of the annual planning advantage, I walk through how to break down every single step and how to roll it out to your team, how to meet about it, and all of the things. Go ahead and DM me on Instagram at Operations Agency. DM me annual planning, and I will send you for free, no opt-in whatsoever. I'll send you the full training. And you can, if you're loving this content, you can do some really serious deep dive, especially as you are trying to actualize a lot of your dreams for 2024.